When most people hear the word cancer, their first instinct is fear, and then resignation, because somewhere along the way, most of us were quietly handed a belief that cancer is something that happens to you, something written into your genes, something decided by fate, something you have no real power over until it's already knocking at your door. But here's what almost no one is telling you. There is a body of evidence. Decades of research from the world's most respected cancer institutes, universities, and physicians that points to something extraordinary. The food sitting in your kitchen right now has the potential to activate your body's own cancer-fighting systems in ways that are measurable, biological, and real. Not supplements, not expensive treatments, not secret protocols that cost a fortune. Food, specific, ordinary, widely available foods that most people already know the names of, but almost nobody understands the staggering, documented mechanisms by which these foods interact with cancer at the cellular level. The World Health Organization now confirms that about 1 in 5 people will develop cancer in their lifetime. In the United States alone, 2024 saw projections of over 2 million new cancer cases, and the fastest growing segment of new cancer diagnoses is not older adults anymore. It's people under 50, people in the prime of their lives, people with families, with futures, with everything to lose. This is not optimistic thinking. This is not wellness culture. This is peer-reviewed science published in journals like Cancer Research, Lancet Oncology, and the Journal of the American Cancer Society. This is research that institutions like Harvard Medical School, MD Anderson Cancer Center, and the National Cancer Institute have been producing for years. In this video, I am going to walk you through 12 specific foods, the mechanisms behind how each one works inside the body against cancer, and what the science actually says. I want you to walk away from this not feeling frightened, but feeling something far more powerful, informed, armed, and ready to take action, because the time to protect yourself is not after a diagnosis. The time is now. Before we get into the foods, there is something critically important to understand. Right now, at this very moment, your immune system is actively identifying and destroying abnormal cells, cells that could, if left unchecked, become cancerous. Every single day, your body is not a passive vessel waiting to be attacked by cancer. It is a dynamic, extraordinarily sophisticated defense system. Dr. William Li, a Harvard-trained physician and researcher, found that the human body has 5 natural defense systems against disease: angiogenesis control, stem cell regeneration, the microbiome, DNA protection, and immune surveillance. And every single one of these systems can be strengthened or weakened by what you choose to eat. Dr. David Servan-Schreiber, a neuroscientist and oncologist at the University of Pittsburgh who was himself diagnosed with a brain tumor and survived for 19 years after his prognosis, spent his life researching this exact intersection. His conclusion was unambiguous. The anti-cancer diet is one of the most powerful tools available to reduce cancer risk and support the body's defenses. With that understanding, let's go through the 12 foods. The first food is broccoli and cruciferous vegetables. If there is one category of food studied more extensively for cancer-fighting properties than almost anything else, this is it. Broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, kale. Inside these vegetables lives a compound called sulforaphane, activated the moment you chew or chop them. The National Cancer Institute lists what sulforaphane does against cancer, and the list is remarkable. It protects cells from DNA damage, inactivates carcinogens, produces direct anti-inflammatory effects, inhibits angiogenesis, the process by which tumors grow their own blood supply, induces apoptosis, which is the programmed death of abnormal cells, and inhibits tumor cell migration, which is how cancer spreads. That is not a single action. That is a full-spectrum attack on multiple cancer pathways simultaneously. Harvard University researchers found in 2019 that compounds in Brussels sprouts and broccoli could suppress tumor growth by activating a gene called PTEN, a natural tumor suppressor that tells abnormal cells to stop growing. One critical preparation detail: lightly steam broccoli for 3 to 4 minutes only. Overcooking destroys the enzyme that activates sulforaphane and eliminates much of the cancer-fighting potency. The second food is turmeric. What researchers found in the bright yellow compound inside turmeric, a polyphenol called curcumin, has now generated thousands of peer-reviewed studies and the serious, sustained attention of cancer researchers worldwide. Curcumin suppresses the NF-κB pathway, a master molecular switch that cancer cells hijack to keep themselves alive. It induces apoptosis specifically in cancer cells, while leaving healthy cells largely unharmed, a property that pharmaceutical researchers have been trying to replicate in drug design for decades. Research in Frontiers in Oncology shows curcumin forces cancer cells to destroy themselves through their own oxidative machinery. The challenge with curcumin is bioavailability. On its own, the body absorbs very little of it. But here is the solution that changes everything. When curcumin is combined with black pepper, a compound in the pepper called piperine increases curcumin's bioavailability by up to 2,000%. 2,000%. This is documented, published science. Add turmeric generously to your food. Add black pepper alongside it every single time, without exception. The third food is green tea. Populations that drink green tea regularly have consistently shown lower rates of certain cancers for generations, and now science has the molecular evidence to explain why. The key compound is EGCG, epigallocatechin gellate, studied in cancer research for over 4 decades. EGCG inhibits cancer cell growth across multiple cancer types, including colon, kidney, breast, and brain cancers. The Shanghai Women's Health Study, one of the largest nutrition studies ever conducted, following 69,000 women, found that those who drank green tea at least 3 times per week had a 37% reduction in colorectal cancer risk. 37% from a beverage. Research on matcha green tea, which contains concentrations of EGCG many times higher than steep tea, found it cuts off the fuel supply to breast cancer stem cells, making them inactive. Cancer stem cells are the cells responsible for generating more cancer. Finding ways to interrupt them is considered a holy grail in cancer research. Steep your tea actively for 2 to 3 minutes. The longer it steeps, the more EGCG is released. The fourth food is garlic. Garlic is one of the most studied foods in the entire history of cancer research. When you crush or chop a garlic clove, a compound called allicin is released. And allicin suppresses tumor growth by targeting multiple signaling pathways simultaneously. Research in the American Association for Cancer Research's journal concluded that garlic and its sulfur components alter the biological behavior of tumors, tumor microenvironments, and the tumor-associated vasculature. In plain language, garlic changes the environment around cancer cells in ways that make it harder for cancer to grow and spread. The one practical detail that most people miss: crush your garlic and let it sit for 10 minutes before applying heat. The conversion of allicin to allicin takes 10 minutes. Throwing chopped garlic directly into a hot pan deactivates the enzyme before the conversion completes, and you lose much of the cancer-fighting potency. 10 minutes. That single habit makes a documented difference. The fifth food is tomatoes. There is a paradox buried in tomatoes that upends everything we assume about eating vegetables raw. The key compound is lycopene, the antioxidant pigment that gives tomatoes their red color. And unlike most nutrients, lycopene becomes significantly more bioavailable when tomatoes are cooked. Dr. William Lee highlights that sautéing a tomato for just 2 minutes increases the lycopene your body can absorb by 50%. Cooking tomatoes in olive oil increases that absorption by twice as much. The American Institute for Cancer Research confirms that men who consume higher amounts of lycopene have an 11% reduced risk of prostate cancer. And lycopene functions as an anti-angiogenic compound. It restricts the blood vessel growth that tumors need to sustain themselves, cutting off their supply line. A tumor that cannot grow new blood vessels cannot grow beyond a microscopic size. It stays small. It stays harmless. Cook your tomatoes. Cook them in olive oil. Make it a consistent habit. The sixth food is berries. Blueberries, strawberries, raspberries, blackberries. The primary cancer-fighting compounds in berries are anthocyanins and ellagic acid. And research published in the journal Phytotherapy Research found that anthocyanins inhibit cancer cell growth in colon cancer, skin cancer, prostate cancer, leukemia, and breast cancer models. Researchers at the Ohio State University Comprehensive Cancer Center found that black raspberries reduced levels of the inflammatory cytokines that fuel cancer development. Berries are also one of the lowest sugar fruits available, which matters because cancer cells are voracious glucose consumers. A dietary pattern that keeps blood sugar stable creates an environment that is less hospitable to cancer. Frozen berries are equally powerful as fresh. The freezing process preserves anthocyanins exceptionally well. A handful of berries every day is one of the lowest effort, highest impact changes you can make. The seventh food is walnuts. Walnuts bring together multiple distinct anti-cancer mechanisms in one accessible food. They are the richest plant-based source of omega-3 fatty acids, well-documented anti-inflammatory compounds, and they contain L-glutanins, which the gut converts into urolithin A, a compound with direct anti-cancer activity. A clinical trial from the University of Connecticut confirmed that regular walnut consumption reduces systemic inflammation markers and colorectal cancer risk. Laboratory studies found that walnut L-glutanins had direct cytotoxic effects on cancer cells. One small handful, roughly 1 ounce, consumed daily is the quantity studied in most of the beneficial research. That is all. A snack, something you can add to oatmeal, a salad, or eat directly without any preparation at all. The eighth food is extra virgin olive oil. This is a finding that deserves far more attention than it has received. Research at Rutgers University studied a compound found in extra virgin olive oil called oleocanthal, and what they found is one of the most arresting discoveries in dietary cancer prevention. Oleocanthal kills cancer cells selectively. Healthy cells are unharmed, only cancer cells die. It ruptures the lysosomal membrane inside cancer cells, spilling the cell's own digestive enzymes back into it, causing rapid cancer cell death. This happened in 30 minutes in laboratory conditions. The research team at Hunter College confirmed that extra virgin olive oils with high oleocanthal content completely killed cancer cells in vitro with no obvious effect on normal cells. Here is how you identify high-quality oleocanthal oil. Real extra virgin olive oil should cause a distinctive peppery throat-catching sensation when consumed. That sensation is the oleocanthal. No peppery bite means low oleocanthal content. Use it as your primary oil, cook your tomatoes in it, drizzle it over everything. It is quite literally medicine in a bottle. The ninth food is ginger. Ginger is one of the most underrated anti-cancer foods on this list. The primary active compound is 6-gingerol, and research published in PLOS One documented that it induces the controlled self-destruction of cancer cells through their own internal machinery and prevents tumor invasion. Studies found that 6-gingerol suppresses proliferation of breast cancer cells and induces apoptosis in human leukemia, hepatoma, and colon cancer cells. For triple-negative breast cancer, in one of the most aggressive forms, research has documented that gingerol inhibits metastatic dissemination in laboratory models. Ginger is also one of the most powerful anti-inflammatory foods studied, and since chronic inflammation is both a cause and a promoter of cancer, that makes it doubly valuable. Grate fresh ginger into hot water every morning. It takes 20 seconds and delivers a meaningful dose of cancer-fighting compounds before your day has even started. The 10th food is pomegranate. The key compounds in pomegranate, ellagic acid and punicalagins, are some of the most potent antioxidants ever measured in a natural food. When the body metabolizes punicalagins, they convert into urolithins, the same anti-cancer metabolites found in walnuts. Scientists at MD Anderson examined pomegranate extract in relation to pancreatic cancer, one of the deadliest cancers known, and found that ellagic acid upregulated tumor-suppressing mechanisms in pancreatic cancer cells. Research also confirms that pomegranate inhibits angiogenesis, restricting the blood vessels that tumors depend on to grow. 1 cup of pomegranate arils or a small glass of pure pomegranate juice daily provides a measurable dose of these compounds. It is one of the most evidence-backed fruits in the entire cancer prevention literature. The 11th food is spinach and dark leafy greens. Spinach, kale, Swiss chard, collard greens, arugula. These are the dietary foundation of any serious cancer prevention eating pattern. Their carotenoids protect DNA from the oxidative damage that initiates cellular mutations. Their folate, natural vitamin B9, is essential for accurate DNA synthesis and repair. When folate is inadequate, DNA replication becomes error-prone, and accumulated errors are exactly how cancer begins. Research from Imperial College London, the largest study of its kind, found that high leafy green intake was associated with decreased colorectal cancer risk through their folate content. And dark leafy greens are among the richest sources of chlorophyll, which research has found can bind to heterocyclic amines, the carcinogens formed when meat is cooked at high temperatures, neutralizing them before they can cause DNA damage. Leafy greens do not just fight cancer proactively, they actively disarm some of the most common dietary carcinogens you encounter. Aim for 2 to 3 servings every single day. The 12th and final food is dark chocolate, and I've saved this for last because it is the one that makes most people stop and ask whether they heard correctly. Dark chocolate, with a minimum of 70% cacao content, contains some of the highest concentrations of flavonoids of any food on Earth. Research published in the journal Food and Chemical Toxicology found that cocoa polyphenols increase antioxidant status and induce apoptosis in cancer cells, with moderate dark chocolate consumption showing potential to reduce cancer risks. Research published in the journal Nutrients found that daily consumption of flavonoid-rich dark chocolate significantly prevented DNA damage and improved the nuclear integrity of cells, which is a measure of how intact and protected your genetic material remains. And research from the National Foundation for Cancer Research shows that cocoa flavonoids can help prevent skin damage caused by ultraviolet radiation, one of the leading causes of skin cancer. The critical word is dark. Milk chocolate and white chocolate do not qualify. 1 to 2 small squares of 70% or higher dark chocolate daily is the range studied. That is an indulgence that is simultaneously a documented biological intervention. Now, here is the insight that transforms this from a list into a genuine strategy. These 12 foods are not working in isolation. They are converging on the same fundamental cancer vulnerabilities through different doors. Multiple foods target angiogenesis, cutting off the blood supply tumors need to grow. Multiple foods target chronic inflammation, suppressing the molecular environment that allows cancer to develop. Multiple foods protect DNA from the damage that initiates the cancer process. And multiple foods directly induce apoptosis in cancer cells, activating the body's built-in mechanism for destroying abnormal cells before they become dangerous. When you eat a diet that consistently includes these foods, you are not making one intervention. You are making dozens of simultaneous molecular interventions through independent biological pathways, all pointing toward the same outcome. An internal environment where cancer struggles to take hold, to grow, and to spread. Dr. T. Colin Campbell, Professor Emeritus of Nutritional Biochemistry at Cornell University, spent decades analyzing the relationship between diet and cancer risk. His conclusion was unambiguous. Diet is the single most significant environmental factor that determines cancer risk. Every meal you eat is either tipping toward protection or away from it. There is no neutral choice. Now, I want to address 3 beliefs that are genuinely preventing people from protecting themselves. The first is this: my genes determine my cancer risk, so there is nothing I can do. This is the most damaging misconception in all of cancer prevention. Only 5 to 10% of cancers are driven primarily by inherited genetic mutations. The other 90 to 95% arise from mutations acquired during your lifetime, from environmental exposures, inflammatory states, and dietary patterns. These are not inherited. They are acquired, and they are, to a significant degree, modifiable. You have more power over your cancer risk than your genes suggest. The second belief: if I don't have cancer, these foods don't matter to me yet. By the time a tumor is detectable by imaging, it has typically been developing for 5 to 15 years. The foods on this list work upstream, in the years and decades before any cancer becomes visible. The patients who benefit most are those who make these choices before cancer has taken root. The time to build a cancer-resistant biology is right now, while every intervention is preventive rather than reactive. The third belief: one food can cure cancer. No single food on this list will cure established cancer, and I want to be clear about that because intellectual honesty demands it. What the science supports is that these foods create measurably less hospitable environments for cancer to develop and grow. They are a powerful, evidence-backed addition to comprehensive health care, not a replacement for it. Cancer is one of the most frightening words in any language, but the science we have just walked through tells a different story. Not a story of total control, but a story of genuine agency. The choices you make at the grocery store, at the kitchen counter, at the dinner table, these are not passive choices. They are active decisions about the biological environment inside your body, whether your immune system is being armed or weakened, whether the conditions inside your body are ones in which cancer finds fertile ground or hostile territory. Dr. William Li put it this way: each of us has an enormous opportunity to take charge of our lives using food to transform our health. And what he meant was not that food is magic. He meant that food is biology, and biology is something you are participating in, whether you realize it or not, with every single meal. What was missing until now was not access to these foods. It was access to the knowledge of why they matter at the molecular level and what the science actually says about how powerfully they work on your behalf. Now you have that knowledge. The best time to protect yourself was 20 years ago. The second best time is right now, today, with your very next meal. This is not about fear. This is about power. The power that has been sitting in your kitchen the whole time, waiting for you to understand it. Use it.